A Billionaire'S card was declined. Then a little girl made an amazing, life-changing discovery. Jake Thompson, a self-made billionaire, stood in the local diner, heart pounding. The clatter of dishes and chatter seeped through his well-tailored exterior, tugging at something deep within him. The vibrant red booths echoed laughter from times long gone, each memory sharp as the sizzling bacon on the grill. Yet, for all his wealth, Jake felt like a ghost in his own city. The man he once was seemed a distant echo. Then it happened. When the check came, he slid his sleek black card across the table with a confident smile, only for it to be rejected. The waitress's polite smile turned into a careful frown. He tried again, same result. Heat rushed to his face. The bustling world around him slowed, every curious gaze turning toward him. A billionaire? With a declined card? The embarrassment stung like a slap. Just as he contemplated an escape route, a small voice chimed in. "Excuse me, mister?" A 9-year-old girl with bright, curious eyes and pigtails approached, her jar of crumpled bills held tightly in her hands. "I saw what happened. I can help." There was a purity in her offer, a bright light cutting through the shadows he felt closing in. Her name was Emma, and as she insisted on sharing her pocket change, Jake marveled at how genuine her heart was. Here he was, a titan in the corporate world. Yet this young girl radiated warmth and compassion that he had long since lost sight of. "What's your dream?" Jake found himself asking, almost surprised by his own curiosity. "I want to create a community garden," Emma said, eyes lighting up, "where kids can grow flowers and veggies and play, and be happy. It'd be a safe place." Her vision struck a chord deep within him, reminding Jake of the values he once clung to. Hope, community, belonging. Before he could process it, he agreed to help her. She beamed, and for a moment, he felt that familiar spark of purpose. The next day, feeling a sense of duty and driven by something he thought he had buried, Jake headed back to the diner, ready to meet Emma and discuss plans for the garden. But as fortune would have it, complexities awaited him. The diner's owner revealed that the garden's patch was set to be sacrificed for ambitious condo developments, a bitter battleground of conflicting interests. Tension surged as the community came to a meeting. Some saw progress, others felt a deep-seated fear of losing their haven. Jake's entrance drew whispers, prejudices coloring the air, their assumptions about his wealth painting him as the villain. The little girl beside him was unwavering, her belief contrasting sharply with the doubts surrounding him. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." As emotions flared during the community discussions, ignited by fear and hope alike, Jake felt himself at a moral crossroads. The memories of his ambition, of building towers of success that separated him from this world, loomed large. Could he dare to step back into the life of connection he had abandoned? With Emma looking at him, faith shining in her innocent gaze, a burning question lingered in the air. Can Jake truly find the courage to align his wealth with purpose, fighting not just for a garden, but a future for countless forgotten hearts? As the weight of the decisions loomed, the story stood on the brink of transformation, waiting for him to make a choice that could change everything. The meeting room buzzed with voices, the tension thick as a summer storm. Jake stood between the door and the rows of folding chairs filled with anxious residents, each one keeping a wary eye on him. He could feel their disbelief, their fear. Their whispers rippled through the air, some sounding hopeful, while others dripped with resentment. "Why is he here?" One man muttered, arms crossed defiantly. "Another wealthy suit trying to take what little we have left." Amidst the storm of emotions, Jake glanced down at Emma. She was aiming her gaze straight ahead, aligned like a lighthouse in the tumultuous sea around her. He couldn't help but feel a surge of admiration for her boldness. As the community leader banged a gavel against the table, silence fell abruptly. "Let us hear from the developer," he announced, and the crowd shifted uneasily, murmurs rising again. Jake cleared his throat, the words spilling out with a mix of conviction and uncertainty. "I'm not here to take anything away. I'm here to help." Uneasy laughter erupted from the back. "Help? You mean profit, someone scoffed. The crowd reacted to this jab, nodding, fueling the growing skepticism. Emma tugged at Jake's sleeve, her little face set with resolve. They don't know you, she whispered, her belief in him unwavering even as anxiety danced inside him. Right, Jake said very quietly. But maybe I can turn their doubt into trust. Taking a deep breath, he shared Emma's dream. A community garden, accessible to all of you where kids can learn, play, and grow, he said, allowing his passion to carry his words. It can be a refuge, not just for this neighborhood, but a testament to what we can build together. He watched as their faces shifted, doubt flickering like candlelight, uncertain but intrigued. You think you can just walk in here and promise us a garden? An older woman called out. You think that LL erased the years of neglect? Jake knew the scars of neglect all too well. I understand your anger, he said, his voice steady, feeling the sincerity of his intention pulse like a drumbeat. But I've been neglectful too. Though I may have resources, it's your community that knows the path forward. I want to partner with you, not dictate. The room was still, the weight of his confession hanging thickly. For the first time, a few faces softening, he felt a fire awakening inside. Emma, emboldened, piped up, we can do it together. We can make it beautiful. Suddenly the atmosphere shifted. People began to nod, a silent agreement forming. Someone started clapping slowly, then another joined. Jake felt the warmth of their acceptance washing over him like a gentle wave. But then, a deeper worry stirred within him. What if they accepted him? What if they believed only for him to fail them? As he stared into the crowd, he saw more than just faces. He saw dreams of laughter, flowers, and the laughter of children. And amidst the uncertainties and whispers of doubt, Jake felt a flicker of something unexpected. The desire to reconnect with his own humanity. Okay, he said, swallowing hard. I'm willing to invest my time, my effort, and yes, my money. But I need your voices, your ideas. Together we can fight to keep this garden. Emma beamed, her small hand raised high. And I'll help. I promise I'll help. Just then, an elderly man stepped forward, his eyes shining with cautious hope. If you're serious, let us talk about how we can work together, he said. And the room erupted into murmurs of agreement, a blooming sense of unity beginning to take root. Jake's heart raced. Could this be the turning point he hadn't dared to dream of? Yet a nagging doubt lingered. If they came together, would the obstacles prove greater than their resolve? With their fates interlinked, he sensed everything was on the brink of change. As the discussions began, a dark cloud loomed. What hidden forces might still lie in wait, ready to sabotage their efforts? Jake's resolve hardened. Whatever it would take, he knew now he had to follow through. But then Emma turned to him with wide eyes. What if someone tries to stop us? The question echoed in his mind. Would he have the strength to protect their dream and face the shadows lurking on the horizon? The discussions plodded along. Jake felt the weight lift a little as residents began to share their ideas and concerns. It was messy with everyone speaking at once, but it felt alive. The garden was transforming from a dream into a shared possibility. Maybe we can have fruit trees. Someone shouted from the back. A spark ignited in their voice. And a flower patch for bees, Emma added, bouncing with excitement. Jake's heart warmed at the sight of her enthusiasm. Each suggestion built a rapport among them, their ideas intertwined like the roots of the very trees they were imagining. But amidst the blooming hope, his earlier fears clawed at him. What if outside forces stopped this? A shadow lurked in his mind, a reminder of the cutthroat nature of development. He could almost hear his assistant, Mark, warning him to think about the bottom line first, relationship second. Okay, Jake interjected, raising his hands to draw their attention back. These ideas are great, but we need a solid plan. A vision that can go beyond just a garden. Emma's face fell a notch. You mean, the adults need to do it too? Not just adults. The whole community needs to be involved, Jake reassured her, kneeling to meet her gaze. It'll only work if everyone gets to be part of it. That means you too. Emma nodded but hesitated, biting her lip. He felt the anxiety ripple from her. One of the residents stood up again, an older woman with gray-streaked hair. What's going to happen when the builders come? They'll bulldoze everything. Whispers of concern spread through the room. Jake's throat tightened. He had thought of that too. He had seen it happen before in neighborhoods just like this. Listen, he said firmly, trying to channel that flicker of confidence he felt earlier. We'll fight for it together. If I am going to invest, then we need to put the community first. No bulldozers will come without us standing up against them. Moments hung heavy in the air, skepticism mingling with hope. He could see Emma's tiny fists clenched in determination, mirroring the grown-ups around her. Then a voice broke through the tension. What if we approach the city council? Propose this to them? A voice shouted from near the back. Show them this is what the people want. A murmur of agreement surged through the crowd. Yes, exclaimed Emma, her eyes wide. We can make posters and have a meeting. Jake felt a thrill course through him. The momentum building was electric. What began as a mere idea was sprouting into action, and it wasn't just him. It was all of them together. But the taste of excitement also came with a sour twist. Could they actually make it happen? What if the council shot them down? Many factors were beyond their control. Emma, he said softly as the group continued to brainstorm. This is big. What if it doesn't work out? Her little hand grasped his tightly, her eyes unwavering. But what if it does? Her optimism buoyed him. Maybe it was simple positivity, but it filled him with strength. They stood on the edge of something greater than themselves, fighting for what mattered. With plans starting to take shape, Jake felt the stirrings of hope mix with fear. Just as he began to envision the first seeds being planted, a chilling thought slipped in: the developers who had been circling this land might still be lurking. He needed to act quickly. Okay, team, he called, rallying everyone's focus. Let us make a list of everything we need: who will talk to the council, how to raise funds, and our vision for that garden. As they huddled around tables making lists, Emma's bright energy filled the room once more. Jake couldn't shake off the worry, but somehow, being part of this felt different. He wasn't just a developer. He was a voice among many, standing for something beautiful and meaningful. But what would it take to keep that spirit alive when the true test began? When hidden forces inevitably rose to challenge them? He didn't know, but one thing was certain. He was in this together with them now. As the plans came together and hopes grew, a shadow darkened the doorway. Jake glanced up sharply, his heart stopping. A tall figure stepped in, a man who looked too polished, too confident, and wielding a smile that felt too sharp. Is this where the meeting is? The man said, every eye in the room shifting cautiously toward him. Who was this stranger and what did he want? With that looming threat, Jake felt the air thicken again. Would they be able to muster the strength to weather whatever was coming next? The room held its breath as the stranger scanned the faces before him. Jake felt the weight of unease settle on his shoulders. There was something unsettling in the man's cool demeanor, his perfectly pressed suit, and those eyes glimmering with certainty. Yes, Jake cleared his throat, stepping forward. Welcome. We're discussing about creating a community garden here. We think it'll really benefit everyone. The man's smile widened, yet it felt more predatory than friendly. A community garden, huh? Fascinating. He stepped closer, his posture relaxed. But there was a tension in the air that made Jake's palms sweaty. I'm here to help. My name is Theo Carson. I represent Carson Developments. Gasps echoed through the crowd. Jake's heart thudded wildly. This was the company known for snatching up small, tight-knit neighborhoods before bulldozing them into oblivion. The room felt smaller as eyes darted between Theo and Jake, and whispers began to ripple, murmurs of distrust and a tinge of fear. Emma's grip on Jake's hand tightened, her knuckles white. He knelt down to her level, forcing a smile. Remember what we talked about, Emma? We're here for the good of the community. He didn't want to show how truly rattled he felt, but the news of Theo's identity made his stomach churn. Well, let us hear it then, Theo said smoothly, the feigned interest almost condescending. I'm curious how a little garden is supposed to compete with real development. The words sipped like poison into the air, twisting the atmosphere. Jake squared his shoulders. It's not about competition. This is about our community's heart. It's our home, and we want to invest in our future. His voice trembled slightly, but he managed to hold his ground. Theo chuckled lightly, shaking his head as if hearing a great joke. Charming, really. But have you thought about the costs? Maintenance, funding, it's a lot more complicated than just planting a few seeds. There was a collective shift. People leaned in, brows furrowed with uncertainty at the challenges Theo was presenting. Jake felt their hopes slipping, the dream starting to crack. Just moments ago they were united. Now Theo's words were sowing doubt. But what if this changes our future? Emma erupted, her voice surprisingly firm. Everyone turned to her with wide eyes. What if it brings everyone together? We can grow things, help the bees, and Theo interrupted, waving her off. What a lovely thought, little girl. But dreams need money, you see. And for that, you need the right people backing you. The right investments. It's delightful to be optimistic, but money talks. A heavy silence fell. Jake felt a surge of anger rise within him. He didn't want to let Emma or anyone feel defeated by this man's arrogance. You don't know what this community is capable of, Jake said, voice steadying. We'll show you. We'll fight for this garden and prove that a place like this has value beyond profit margins. The room buzzed with murmurs of support. It appeared people were ready to rally, to resist against the looming threat of Theo and his intentions. There was energy crackling between them, a tangible force of unity. But just as hope began to sink back into their hearts, Theo's smile vanished, replaced by a look of indifference. You know, I am quite intrigued by your passion. In fact, I'll leave you all with a little incentive. He pocketed a sleek black card and slid it across the table. This is an offer for a meeting down the line. Or perhaps an opportunity that could change your little garden's fate. A heartbeat passed as Jake and the residents stared at the card, their excitement laced with caution. What are you playing at? Jake challenged, but Theo just winked, his gaze piercing. Just think about it. You may be surprised what money can do. Or save. Have a good meeting. With that, he turned and strode out, leaving a whirlwind of confusion in his wake. Jake's heart raced, uncertainty crashing over him like waves. What kind of threat did this man really pose? The enthusiasm they had all felt began to teeter, caught between hope and despair. Guys, Jake finally spoke, we can't let this deter us. We need to move forward with or without him. But he couldn't shake off that sense of foreboding. They needed a plan, and fast. As they gathered closer, Jake's pulse quickened with both fear and determination. They had to stand together, united in their cause. This was more than just a garden. It was a battle for their community. And just when they thought they had a grasp on the fight ahead, Emma's small voice piped up again. Can we make it bigger? What if we made it a festival? Jake looked at her with surprise. In that moment something clicked. Emma, he said slowly, that's a brilliant idea, but are we ready for all that? The laughter and enthusiasm started bubbling back up. But Jake wondered, were they truly prepared to face everything that lay ahead? Especially with someone like Theo watching from the sidelines? What would it take to turn this dream into reality against forces like his? The room felt alive again. A heartbeat pulsing through the community as ideas collided and soared. Jake still couldn't shake the anxiety twisting like a vine in his gut. Emma's festival suggestion hung in the air, bright, bold, but daunting. What if we made it a spring festival? Emma proposed, her bright eyes sparkling with the kind of excitement only a child could have. We could sell homemade jams, flowers, maybe even have games. Everyone loves games. A renewed energy buzzed beneath the surface. Jake watched as the adults began nodding, smiles breaking through the earlier tension. Maybe they could channel their fears into something real. Something vibrant instead of allowing Theo's shadow to loom too large. Every spring festival needs a theme, said Laura, a local artist who often painted murals on the barns around town. We could promote sustainability and gardening. Invite families to participate in workshops, hands-on learning. Kids can decorate pots or plant seeds. We can showcase what we're building here. Workshops, echoed another resident, Marco, a green-thumbed retiree. I can teach folks how to compost and start their own vegetable patches. These methods saved my garden from failing a few times. Words spilled freely now. Ideas began to morph like butter in sunlight. Excitement spread like a wildfire. But Jake hesitated, his heart racing. Do we really have the resources to pull this off? The remnants of doubt flickered in the air, a ghost of Theo's words lingering. Resourcefulness is the key, Laura chimed in, her voice steady with conviction. We have the community, and we can reach out to local businesses for donations, maybe even partner with the farmers market for support. This can be our moment. Jake's heart swelled. There it was, a spark of hope, a fire that could push through the chills of uncertainty. We could use social media to spread the word. Who knows, maybe it'll inspire others people from outside our neighborhood, he suggested. Let us show them what we can do together first. We'll counter everything that guy threw at us. A flurry of ideas ensued. Postcards to neighbors, flyers at the local diner, outreach to schools, everyone fired up like engines gaining momentum. In the midst of the rising tide of excitement, Emma's innocent wish tugged at Jake's heart. Can we have a garden booth? We should name it something fun. She grinned wide, her imagination dancing. Of course. Someone else called. Let us have a booth with flowers and plants straight from the garden we've planted. Jake felt the warmth spread through the room, a kind of magic settling over them. They were people in a community bound together by more than just the land they lived on. They shared laughter, meals, and now a dream that could ignite a movement. But as they began to write down their plans and ideas, laughter mixed with newfound resolve, Jake's mind wandered to Theo's chilling smile. Was he already planning his next move? He glanced over at Emma, bright-eyed with hope, and couldn't help but feel a little tug of responsibility. We need to make sure we're prepared for anything. But if we're going to do this, let us do it right. Yeah, Emma shouted, bouncing on her feet. And what if we use his card as a reminder? Instead of letting it scare us, we'll show what a tiny piece of paper can't buy a strong community. Jake chuckled, a warm feeling blooming in his chest. Well, let us make a giant paper flower and tie it to the card. Something that symbolizes our fight, our determination. Let us take control of our own destiny. As everyone left the room, a sense of camaraderie hung thick in the air. They were not just neighbors anymore. They were a collective force with a mission. Yet, as he locked the door behind him, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that Theo was already anticipating their next step, like watching a game from the sidelines, waiting to pounce. Was this just the beginning of a battle he didn't fully understand? If Theo was already an enemy, what other surprises lay ahead? Ready to challenge everything they stood for? Jake's resolve hardened. They had ignited their belief in a garden, but could they fight against a system designed to grind them down? We can do this, Jake whispered to himself, glancing back at the empty room where ideas had just taken flight. And as a gentle breeze stirred the night air, he knew their journey had only begun. But what would it uncover about the community and themselves on the way? The next morning the sun spilled across the town like a flood of gold, warm and bright, and the streets were alive with an energy that mirrored the community's renewed spirit. Jake could sense the anticipation both from within and around him. As he walked down Main Street, he noticed neighbors exchanging smiles, laughter blending with the chirping of birds in the trees. Preparations for the festival were already buzzing in the air. Jake passed by Sarah's bakery, where she was setting up a colorful sign outside. Spring Festival, homemade goods and fun, join us. A small crowd gathered, savoring the wafting scents of fresh bread and pastries. Hey Jake, she called, grinning. I'll donate cookies for the kids' games. We'll make this festival one to remember. Absolutely, Jake replied, excitement lifting his spirits. Every little bit counted. He continued on, thinking about the festival plans, envisioning how they could bring everyone together. But a nagging sensation lingered in his gut, a whisper reminding him of Theo. Whenever he thought he had a handle on this, he remembered the threat looming overhead, the challenges that went far beyond just a party in the park. Once at home, he found Emma coloring wildly at the kitchen table, markers scattered like confetti around her. Look, Dad. This is the flower booth. We'll have every color. She showcased a vibrant doodle bursting with every shade imaginable. That's amazing, sweetheart, Jake smiled, even as uncertainty curled in his chest. Seeing the joy on her face pulled at him. He didn't want that joy to be interrupted by any misstep. But we need to make sure everything is safe and fun. Yeah, we can have a how to sign to show people how to plant seeds too. Emma exclaimed, her face lighting up. She was all in, focused on the magic of the festival without concern for the rest. As they flipped through her drawings, Jake's phone rang. It was Laura. Hey Jake. Good news. I talked to Lila at the market. They're willing to sponsor the festival. They want to set up a booth to promote local produce. Jake's heart raced with a mix of relief and excitement. That is awesome, Laura. This is really coming together. But just as quickly the doubts crept back. What's the catch? He asked. No catch. Just a chance to show community spirit. We need to bring more awareness to their efforts. Reaching out is all it takes, she assured him, After hanging up, Jake turned to Emma, who was adding decorations to her drawing. Looks like things are moving. We might actually pull this off. I hope so, she chirped, fully immersed in her world of color and fun. The day passed quickly, filled with planning sessions, emails to local businesses, and poster making. The encrypted storm of anxiety wrapped around Jake eased a little with every small victory. But when night fell and the stars twinkled overhead, Jake thought he heard something. A faint sound somewhere beyond the happy chatter of neighbors in their backyards. He followed the noise, stepping into the cool evening air, and saw a shadowy figure lurking near the old community garden, a place they hoped to restore as part of the festival. Jake's heart dropped. The familiar chilling sensation washed over him. Was it Theo? Careful not to make a sound, he crept closer, trying to peer through the overgrown bushes. Breathe, he reminded himself. Stay calm. But with each step, the sense of unease twisted tighter in the pit of his stomach. What were they plotting now? Would the community's joyful plans of a spring festival be turned into a battleground? And as he squinted into the darkness, trying to discern the figure's identity, he wondered what it all meant for their battle. Was this really about just a festival, or was it something much bigger? In front of him, shadows shifted, each murmur setting off a new wave of dread. Could one festival unite them? Or could it bring out the worst in their adversary? He took a deep breath, preparing for what lay ahead. It seemed the challenges were not over yet. Perhaps, just maybe, this festival was only the beginning. Jake's heart pounded in his chest as he pressed deeper into the shadows, straining to catch even the smallest detail from the figure ahead. It was barely illuminated by the flickering streetlights, a silhouette obscured just enough to keep him guessing. He held his breath, each second feeling like a lifetime. What if it was Theo? What were they planning? Just then, a rustling noise broke the silence. Jake crouched lower, trying to become one with the shadows. The figure turned slightly, and Jake got a glimpse of a familiar jacket, one he'd seen Theo wear many times. Panic surged through him. He needed to know for sure. Hey! He shouted, stepping out from behind the bushes, determined to confront whatever threat lay before him. The figure froze, eyes wide with surprise. Jake! A voice exclaimed, dropping the tension in the air like a rock in a pond. It was Lily, the enthusiastic young volunteer who had offered to help organize the festival's activities. I didn't expect anyone to be out here. Jake exhaled sharply, relief washing over him. What are you doing out here so late? The night was thick with uncertainty, and he needed to understand her presence. I was checking on the garden, she said, her voice slightly nervous. I thought I could help get it ready for planting before the festival. His heart softened at her dedication. You gave me a scare. I thought. He paused, trying to shake the lingering fear related to Theo. I thought you were someone else. Lily frowned, following his gaze into the depths of the garden. Did you hear something? I thought I heard whispers, but she trailed off, glancing back at him, concern etched on her face. Before Jake could respond, loud laughter erupted from behind them. A group of teenagers who constantly took advantage of the late hours stumbled upon the scene. Hey, are you guys plotting a midnight garden party? One of them joked, slapping another on the back. The heavy tension immediately eased as laughter filled the air, and Jake's shoulders unwound slightly. Something like that, he said, forcing a smile. The kids wandered off, leaving him with Lily again, and suddenly, the shadows didn't feel quite as threatening. Maybe we should do a late-night planting party? She suggested with a mischievous twinkle in her eye. Get some flashlights and invite others? Jake laughed. Why not? But only if we can get donuts from Sarah's bakery. Deal. She grinned. Later, after they discussed plans and shared ideas, Jake felt a warmth growing in his chest, community energy at work. This was what the festival was meant to create, pooling together hopes and desires into one bright, joyous occasion. Yet, the thought of Theo loomed in the back of his mind like storm clouds. The more they flourished, the more Theo would retaliate. Jake kept returning to the whispers he'd heard. What had he interrupted? Maybe it was just kids messing around, but he couldn't shake the feeling that the threat was still there, lurking like shadows waiting for their moment to pounce. Hey Jake. Lily interrupted his thoughts, her voice earnest. Do you really think we can make this festival a success? I mean, given everything. He looked into her bright eyes, sensing the weight of her question. We have to believe it. Together we can make this happen. We just need to bring everyone along for the ride. Lily nodded but kept her expression serious, as if she could see through him to the worries held inside. Then let's make it unforgettable, she declared as they walked back toward the light. Anticipation swirled within Jake. Festival planning was aligned with his dreams, but the undercurrents of fear still gripped him. What threats awaited as the big day approached? He glanced back toward the community garden, shrouded in darkness, feeling something was about to unfold. Let us get our planting party started, he said, trying to brush off the unease for the moment. But deep down he couldn't shake the feeling that they stood on the brink of something much larger, and he needed to be ready for it. Just then, something unexpected caught Jake's attention, and he turned sharply. There at the edge of the garden, a glint of something shiny caught the moonlight. Jake squinted, trying to make out the glimmering object. His instincts took over, urging him to move closer. Stay here, he whispered to Lily, edging towards where the light reflected off something metallic. The soft crunch of gravel under his shoes seemed thunderous against the stillness of the night. As he approached, he could see what it was, a small locket, half buried in the ground. He bent down, brushing the dirt away to reveal its intricate design. The surface was cool to the touch, and a warmth pulsed within him. It looked like something significant, perhaps even precious. Look at this, he called over to Lily, who had followed him cautiously. Her eyes widened as she knelt beside him, the earlier tension fading as curiosity took its place. It's beautiful, she said, reaching for it. Do you think it belongs to someone from the neighborhood? Maybe, Jake replied, turning it in his hand. But it feels special, like it has a story behind it. Suddenly, the old whispers rose again in his mind, echoing the conversation he'd overheard just before. He couldn't help but feel this locket was more than just a piece of jewelry. It felt like a clue. What if it has something to do with the festival? Or even Theo? Lily looked puzzled yet intrigued. You think it's connected to him? Maybe it's a sign? Jake nodded slowly, imagining the possibilities. Could finding this locket unlock something hidden? It was a strange thought, but he couldn't shake the feeling that what they found might lead them to discover something more about Theo's plans. We should check with others. Maybe someone knows what it is, or who it belongs to, she added, her excitement building. Let us take it back with us. With the locket securely tucked in his pocket, Jake felt a renewed sense of purpose. They started retracing their steps back to the main gathering area of the festival planning group. He could see the faint glow of candles and hear the low murmur of voices discussing ideas and dreams for the upcoming event. Yet the unease remained. Theo was still out there, and now perhaps he had a mystery to solve. As they joined the others, an even louder laughter burst from the group, but Jake's heart was not in the revelry. Instead, all he could think about was the locket and the secrets it might hold. Hey guys, Jake called, drawing the attention of his friends. We found something. Holding up the locket, anticipation buzzed in the air. Every face turned towards him, interest peaked. Lily stepped forward, her voice enthusiastic. We think it might be connected to the festival somehow. Does anyone recognize it? The group exchanged glances, some skeptical, others intrigued. Let us see it. A voice called from the back and they all edged closer. As Jake passed the locket around, he sensed something shifting in the atmosphere. The kind of energy you feel right before a storm. Just then, a sound came from the edge of the garden, a low rustle followed by an unmistakable hissing. Jake's heart dropped. He turned slowly, realizing they weren't alone, and the shadows. A figure emerged, a familiar silhouette. What are you doing with that? A voice cut through the tension, icy and commanding. It was Theo. Awareness crackled in the air as Jake's grip tightened around the locket. What had they stumbled into? Let us find out, he whispered under his breath, readying himself for whatever Theo had in store for them next. Jake's heart raced as he faced Theo. The locket felt heavy in his pocket, as if it was trying to draw him closer to a looming truth. He exchanged glances with Lily, whose eyes were wide but unfocused, unsure whether to be afraid or defiant. Jake, is that? Theo's voice broke through the silence, dripping with a mix of surprise and contempt. Did you find that locket? Doesn't he belong to you? What do you mean? Jake called back, trying to mask his fear with bravado. The air between them crackled, thick with tension. He could feel the crowd's eyes shifting from Theo to him, curiosity merging with apprehension. Theo stepped forward, shadowed in the dim light, lip curling in disdain. You think you can just take it like that? You have no idea what's at stake. Each word felt like a knife, slicing through the excitement of the festival atmosphere that lingered just moments before. What do you mean? Lily asked, her voice steady, but there was an edge to it, a challenge. What's really going on here, Theo? The murmur of the crowd grew louder, the thrill of the festival suddenly overshadowed by a thick blanket of uncertainty. People huddled closer, drawn into the unfolding drama. Theo hesitated, and for a split second Jake thought he saw a flicker of vulnerability. But it vanished just as quickly, replaced with a hardened resolve. That locket belongs to my family. It's not just some trinket you can pass around. Then why did you leave it out here? Jake shot back, his pulse quickening. You don't even care about it. A spark ignited in Theo's steel blue eyes. You don't know what you're messing with, Jake. That locket has a history, a dark one. You're digging into something you shouldn't. The weight of those words hung in the air. Jake felt the ground beneath his feet shift. Dark. What did that even mean? Was Theo hinting at secrets far beyond what they were prepared to uncover? What kind of history? Jake managed, genuinely intrigued despite the chill creeping up his spine. Before Theo could respond, the crowd stirred restlessly. It was as if they sensed a storm brewing. Individuals whispered among themselves, some glancing nervously at the trees lining the garden. Maybe we should just go back to the planning, Lily suggested, trying to cut through the awkward tension. We can sort this out later. But Theo wasn't finished. You don't get to walk away with that without consequences. And with that, a flicker of movement caught Jake's eye. From behind Theo, a small shape emerged, a girl, no older than 8 or 9, with tangled brown hair and a dirt-smudged face. She clutched something in her hands tightly and without hesitation stepped forward. Stop! She shouted, her voice ringing clear and determined. That locket belongs to my mom. The assembling crowd fell silent, the weight of her words settling as heavily as the unease had before. Jake felt his breath hitch. He exchanged glances with Lily, whose mouth hung open in shock. Theo's expression morphed from astonishment to fury. What? No, that's impossible. The girl squared her shoulders, her gaze unwavering. I know my mom's locket. She lost it right here. You can't just take it away. A wave of disbelief washed over Jake. Could this child be the missing piece they needed to understand everything? The atmosphere felt electric, a climax of tension, solving the mystery of the locket, Theo's family, and perhaps their own entanglement in something much bigger than a neighborhood festival. But the question lingered in the air as Theo took a threatening step forward. What would happen next? Jake's heart raced with uncertainty and the thrill of an unfolding adventure. Wait, he said, his voice a steadying force. Let us talk this out. We need to know the truth. But as the shadows around them deepened, he couldn't shake the feeling that the path ahead was fraught with danger, and the resolution was still far from reach. The tension in the air was palpable as Jake faced Theo, the weight of the locket in his pocket heavy with potential and danger. The little girl's voice rang out, breaking the icy standoff, infusing the scene with an undeniable sense of urgency. That locket belongs to my mom, she repeated, her determination fierce. All eyes turned toward her, whispers darting through the crowd like fireflies in the twilight. Jake felt every set of eyes, optimism mingled with fear, curiosity crossed with defensiveness. He knew he had to maintain control, for Emma and everyone depending on him. Theo's frustration flared. This has nothing to do with the little girl. That locket is linked to my family's past. Don't think for a second that you can wade into things you don't understand. His voice rose, dripping with authority. Yet the unmistakable tremor revealed his struggle. He was rattled. The little girl took a step closer, her small stature dwarfed by the looming shadows. If it belongs to your family, then give it back. Mom always said it was special. The strength in her voice cut through Theo's bravado, a beacon of innocence shining amid growing clouds of uncertainty. In that moment, Jake realized the festival was no longer just a way to unite the community, it had become a catalyst for unveiling deeper truths, a multifaceted battle that transcended land and gardens. Maybe we should all listen, he suggested, meeting Theo's gaze head-on. You owe it to this girl and everyone else to explain your connection. Let us not turn this into a fight. Explain what? Theo barked back. Yet beneath the surface, Jake could see the cracks of fear lining his posture. It was a flicker, but it was there, the spark of vulnerability showing the human in the Titan. Your family, the past, whatever this holds, Jake pushed gently. The more we know, the stronger we can stand together. Against whoever threatens what's ours. The garden, this community, it matters to us all. The crowd's anticipation hung thick, their murmurs growing louder in encouragement. Even Emma chimed in, her small hand resting on Jake's arm, radiating a sense of unity and innocence that echoed through the evening air. Everybody deserves to know what happened. We can be friends, she said, her childlike sincerity piercing through the dusk. After a long pause, Theo's facade began to crumble. His shoulders relaxed just slightly, the edge in his voice softening. It's not that simple. Try us, Jake urged. Theo swallowed hard. That locket isn't just a family heirloom. It holds memories tied to the land, the old community before development took it away. My family has. Well, when we moved away, things were lost. Relationships were lost. And they can be rebuilt, Jake interjected, sensing a thread of hope. It starts here. We're all trying to create something beautiful, a community garden. Memories for the future. You want to fight for this land, Theo remarked, skepticism creeping in. Do you really think a festival can take on corporations with agendas? Yes, Emma interrupted, eyes shining bright. If we do it together. A hush fell over the crowd. Slowly, Theo began looking around, the gathering's quiet strength slowly wrapping around him. There was something in the air that hadn't existed when he first walked, in a sense of unity and a shared purpose, burgeoning like the flowers in a garden waiting to bloom. Maybe, Theo hesitated, glancing at the little girl, then the faces of the community, each one painted with unwavering hope. Maybe I can help. If your cause is sincere, then I want to fight against the garden. But there are risks involved. I know the developers. And they want to hand over the land easily. The crowd stirred, mumbling in disbelief and cautious hope. The tides were shifting. And what do you get out of it? Jake asked, pushing before allowing the moment to slip. To keep my family's legacy alive. To finally do something right, Theo replied, a hint of regret surfacing. With an unexpected wave of determination, Emma spoke up once again. Then let us do it right together. You can be our friend. Wordlessly, Theo stepped back, the fight slipping away from him. Then let us make the garden a success. I'll show you how to negotiate. A wave of relief surged through Jake, the first shattering of the adversarial walls built over years, layered by fears and misplaced ambitions. With the darkness of uncertainty receding, plans began to take shape. As proposals flew and ideas intermingled, Jake realized the festival was going to be more than just an event. It would become a symbol, a true testament to the strength woven into every heart present, a rekindling of connections that were threatened by greed and fear. Days turned into a flurry of activity. Neighbors poured into the garden, bringing soil, seeds, and dreams. The bright future they envisioned began to take root. Together they painted banners, crafted booths, and prepared delicious pies and fresh blooms for the festival, welcoming everyone to embrace a day filled with laughter, community, and love. On the day of the festival, the garden transformed. Vibrant colors burst forth amid scents of fresh soil and blooming flowers, laughter echoed, and tables filled with goodies drawn from their collective efforts stood proudly. The neighborhood rallied together. People who had once whispered in the shadows of doubt now danced in the sunlight of hope. As the celebration blossomed, Jake looked at Emma, whose radiant smile lit up the garden. He thought back to the moment his card was declined, the shift that had drawn him back to who he was, a man who had forgotten the treasure of connection. Are you ready? He asked, squeezing her hand. Yes, she squealed, tugging him forward as they joined the throng of kind-hearted souls. They were more than just individuals, they had become a family. And as laughter erupted across the garden, Jake felt an overwhelming sense of fulfillment bubble within him. Yes, through laughter, adversity, and honest connection, they had not only saved their garden, they had reclaimed their community spirit. Let us plant our dreams, Jake whispered, stepping into the vibrant life surrounding him. The battle for their future had transformed into something beautiful. And he knew this was just the beginning of an incredible journey, woven into the fabric of every life they had touched. In that moment, each heartbeat as one. If you've made it this far, it's time to take action. You need to subscribe now so you won't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm and keep this community growing. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel inspired by this transformation. Let us spread the love and the stories that unite us.